Shalom, shalom, shalom. Good evening, my social media family. Shalom. Welcome to a live episode, another live episode of Office Hours with Sharon on Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. It is great to see you and be with you and engage with you this glorious Thursday evening. And it's glorious because it's the day that the Lord has made. So we rejoice and we're so glad in it. Everything that God has made is good. He has made the entire universe, His creation, and all that's in it, humankind, the animal kingdom, everything, nature, all is good because it all is God. We marvel at the miraculous creation of God, of which you are and I are a part of. So we are miracles of God, creating us out of His mind, the brilliance of His mind. That's a miracle right there. So thank you for allowing me to come into your homes this evening via the social media platforms. We are broadcasting live from Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And I'm using two cameras. So if you see my eyes darting back and forth, it's because TikTok is on one camera, Facebook and YouTube are on another camera because I haven't quite figured out how to integrate TikTok with the platform of StreamYard. It can be done. I'm just not that tech savvy. So I'm working on it. So bear with me. And I appreciate you for that. Please don't keep all of this wonderful information to yourself that we share on any of the shows on my platform, which is Full Life Communications, where you're watching me from, because this information that we talk about and what we share and engage in the conversation that we have is necessary information for ourselves as human beings, and especially for the times that we're living in. And specifically tonight, we're going to have a part 2 of anxiety. We talked about anxiety last Thursday, and anxiety is running rampant in the land. And so we want to talk about that so we can know what to be aware of, things that contribute to the anxiety, and how we can do some things to help to get us feeling in a better place, some remedies, some strategies, right, that we can use to quell that, calm that anxiety when it starts to rise. So we want to talk about that today. I got a lot of feedback regarding anxiety and what people are dealing with and why. And so I decided to have a part 2 to also get into more strategies than we talked about last week. As a therapist, I am, let me share this, I am a clinician, a licensed clinician, a licensed professional counselor. And so I specialize, I have an expertise in mental health. And so on this platform, Office Hours with Sharon, you can ask me anything under the mental health umbrella. And if I can answer it, I will. And if I can, I'll bring a guest on who has an expertise in that particular area. I am versed in a lot, but that doesn't mean I know everything. So let me just admit that right there. I don't know everything under the mental health umbrella. So we can talk about trauma, addiction, relationships, behavioral health, mental health, emotional well-being, all of that, self regulation, just, whatever questions that you have, ask me, and I'll do my best to answer or provide that answer for you at another time through another person or something that I may have researched out. So again, we're going to talk about anxiety again tonight. And if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of anxiety in the land. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I see young people, children, I see teenagers, and I see adults. And especially with our young population, the teenagers specifically, and even younger, there's not one person, and I'm not kidding you. So let me just say 99.9%, just in case I'm not thinking of somebody who is not experiencing anxiety as a part of their diagnosis that I'm treating, who I'm treating. And these are our young people. These are our teenagers and our children who have so much anxiety. And we see why. I mean, living in today's times, children, young people have to be worried about going to school and a mass shooting potentially happening. Like, that was unheard of in my day growing up, right? The innocence of childhood has been lost. And so children are worrying about things that those of us with some age on us never had to worry about, right? And because of the advent of the internet and then social media, when they have the world at their fingertips, that can create anxiety as well, because there's so much that they're comparing themselves to. Have a lot of young people who are comparing themselves to who and what they see on social media, and their lives don't add up to that, and they become anxious, trying to fit in, trying to live up to him. When they don't, then they think something's wrong with them. And that creates a level of anxiety in them, a level of fear that they're not going to be able to rise to the occasion, right? Be enough, be good enough. Right. And then a lot of them won't go to school because they think that others are thinking of them in a lesser light. Right. And but it's all with what they've taken in, right? So then I have to help dismantle that. But it's hard because, again, every day they're contending with something that they can go to and watch and see, with all the different things on social media that they can see and watch and listen to. That's why it's so key for us to be mindful of who we listen to and what we listen to and what we watch, because those are gateways to create things in us that are good and not so good. Right? Things that we watch that are good and healthy for us create good feelings, but same is equally on the other side. Those things that we may watch and listen to that are not so good for us create not so good feelings for us inside. And then comes the issues that we have to deal with. I see some people on TikTok. Hey, Egypt, how are you, sir? Love you, Egypt. Hey, Shakina, miss your girl. Love you. Thank you for joining me this evening. And you are watching Office Hours with Sharon. This is your information empowerment session where you can ask me anything under the mental health umbrella, relationships, trauma, mental health, behavioral health, emotional well-being, all of those things you can ask me and I will answer, and you will be empowered with information. Now, the empowerment only comes if you use it, because information is just information for information's sake if you don't use it. But if you use it to your benefit and are empowered by it, now it will benefit you, right? And so use the information and use it wisely. And as you're learning about your own mental health, as you're learning about your own psychology, you'll understand others better, because it's not just Sharon's psychology or John's psychology or Sue's psychology. It's human psychology. It's human mental health. If someone passes away that we love, we're going to grieve. It's not just Sharon's going to grieve. Other people are going to grieve too. And grieving has different stages and different processes. And so we're all going to go through these similar processes, these similar stages. So when you learn about your psychology and mental health, you're really learning about everyone's. And so then you begin to know why people, you don't even have to know the specifics of what they've been through, but you can see that this look on their face is not a normal look. There's an issue there. I don't even have to know that there's an issue there. But when the face is looking a certain type of way and you see something that just happened, right? Well, they came in with that issue, right? Or someone saying something to you out of turn and you haven't done anything to them. That's an issue. That's not you. They're doing the same thing to other people, because in the moment you're in their presence. And so you're going to get what's on them and in them at that moment. You happen to be in their line of fire. They're in their path. And sometimes they don't even realize that that's what they're doing. But because that weight of what they're carrying, right, the emotional issue of what they're carrying, it comes out in their speech, their communication, in their interactions, their behavior. And that's all of us. We all do this, but we're not aware oftentimes. And that's what I have come to do. I've been directed by Holy Spirit to have this platform. Office Hours with Sharon will have this show on this platform, so I can give you information so you can be empowered, so you can walk in the empowerment and use that information so your lives can be better in that way. Now, I will not be your online therapist, right? But hopefully with the information that you glean from this show, from me on this show, that you will be encouraged to find your own therapist to work out your specific issues in therapy toward your healing, right? This is just information to empower you to learn some things generally about whatever you want to ask and whatever I am sharing that particular evening. And now it's like, okay, I'm armed with this information. What am I going to do with it? Right. And you can do some things with the information without seeing a therapist, but it's best to see a therapist because you have specific challenges in whatever life you've lived and relationships you've had from childhood to now, right? And what environment you were raised in, the culture you were raised in, the society you were raised in, all of these things affect us and are bearing, have come to bear on your current life right now. All of us. Everything that we've experienced in life is bearing on this moment in time in our communication and behavior. Everything. You just don't know how because you haven't gone to school for it. You shouldn't. If you went to school for it, you should know. That's why I know. I didn't go to school for auto mechanics, so I don't know about cars. I know how to drive it, right? Those who went to school for that have an expertise in that, so I'm going to go ask them when I have an issue with my car, right? So you ask me here on this platform, we have when you want some understanding regarding all things mental health. We'll just put it that way. You can also ask me about the faith walk. I have life experience with that and knowledge of the Bible. Am I a Bible scholar? Absolutely not. But you can ask me questions about the faith walk if you desire. So tonight, again, part 2 regarding anxiety. Sandra Lee says, hey, Sharon. Hey, Sandra Lee. Miss you, girl. Sandra Lee is the co-host of my other show, Faith Walk, that comes on Wednesday evening. And she's watching and working downstairs while she's watching. Hey, Sandra Lee. I see Netta's not on, Sandra, yet, so you might have to help her because unless she's still in Bible study or something like that. But okay, let's see anybody else. I am Felicia. Hey, Felicia. I'm so glad that you arrived to your destination safely, you and Anye. I hope you guys get everything that you are seeking at that retreat. Is that, hey, I think it says Gina. Hi, Gina. Thank you for joining me this evening. So if you have any questions for me, and even though my topic tonight is anxiety, and it's part 2 from what we did last week, you can put any questions in the chat. Because again, this is your time. This is for you. An information empowerment session for you. So put whatever questions that you want in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. And but again, the general topic is about anxiety. So we talked about anxiety last week. Things, and I want you to engage in the chat. One, because it's necessary, so you can get your answers, your questions out there, and your comments, right? Because we help each other when we engage, right? But also, too, I'm trying to build the platform and get this information out to other people. And the more we engage, the more the algorithm thinks that, oh, people must like this, so they'll push it out to more people. We're building community here. We don't want to just keep it to ourselves. We want this pushed out to the masses so we can all get better, right? So let's do that. Let's engage in the chat. So we talked about anxiety, as I said. So as I said earlier, anxiety has heightened since COVID, right? We here in the United States and other places in the world have never experienced a pandemic before. And so it was very new to us. And so it was a shock to the system. And that caused a great level of anxiety in the land, right? In people and therapists such as myself saw a great uptick with folks coming to therapy for depression and anxiety when COVID hit. And so I'm not a doom and gloomer, but I am a realist, shall I say, as a believer in Jesus Christ, a Christian. There's more to come regarding pandemics and world events that we'll just say aren't good for our mental health, right? You watch the news, you see the news, you see what's going on in society. Those things aren't good for our mental health, right? So Holy Spirit wants you to be equipped with information. That's why this show is developed. So you can be prepared for what's coming and do whatever Holy Spirit leads you to do, but also to be armed with information naturally so you will know what to do if something happens, but also do some preventive things. Now, right now, I am confessing, and I will confess here with those of you who are watching under the sound of my voice live or on the replay, that I confess that God's people shall not succumb to mental illness now or in the future, regardless of what happens in our world. We will not succumb to mental illness. The blood of Jesus covers our mind, covers our body, covers our emotions, covers us mind, body, soul, and spirit. The blood of Jesus covers us. We will not submit to the times, to mental illness. We will not. We will not. The enemy only has power over us if we agree with him, and we will never agree with the enemy. We agree with Holy Spirit, and that's it. So I want to put that out there. And you need to put that out there too, if you don't want that to be a part of your history. Because again, it's happening. It's happening quickly. People are hurting. People are hurting mentally and emotionally. And you can see it. All the unaliving that's happening, that's people's mental health that's been affected. And the enemy is in there, right? It doesn't happen. And we know we say, oh, that wasn't a mental health. It's a mental health issue, whether they've ever gone to counseling and gotten a diagnosis, because that's abnormal behavior. And anything that is abnormal is because your mind has been affected. Your emotions have been affected. You may not have ever gotten a diagnosis or going to counseling. Well, many of us are walking around undiagnosed because we'll never go to therapy or never, seek an evaluation. But we all have issues. So let's just be honest. We all have issues, and more than one, and more than two or three. If you are born in this earth, you have an issue. We are broken, flawed human beings, and we all have issues. If anyone says they don't have issues, they are not being honest. Point blank, period. We all have issues. In this human body, this human flesh, we can't not have issues. We will never be perfect. Only God is perfect. So we need to come to terms with our humanity. And in that humanity, sometimes we get anxious. Anxiety is rooted in fear, right? Fear of something happening, fear of something not happening. If you've ever dealt with any level of anxiety, just put the word anxiety in the chat. I have. I shared it with you last week, and still do. I'm in the menopausal stage of life. Lord, I don't know when it's going to be over, but I hope it's over. It's been too long, right? I think I started early, all right? But when my when I get too heated up, and not so much heated up because of an argument, when my system, the hormones are clashing, whatever they're doing in there, and I get too heated up. So if I'm exercising, or if I'm in a room with no air conditioning and it's summertime or something like that, my body gets overheated and it brings on anxiety, and I go through all the symptoms that I always experience, which is, my hands might be shaking, I'm sweating somewhere in my body, typically on my scalp and on my neck and area, and I start to have racing thoughts. And I just feel like I don't have control, and I'm fidgety. Something is going on. Now I've learned my body that I know that, okay, I'm feeling anxious, and I'm looking like, okay, it's hot in the room, because there's no other reason for it, because I know my body, right? But I've also had anxiety attacks as it relates to racial issues. When George Floyd was unalived and all of the protests and whatnot, I heard police sirens when I went to the drugstore to fulfill a prescription, and I was sitting in the parking lot, and I had an anxiety attack because I heard the police sirens. I wasn't doing anything, but it was that fear that overcame me because of what's going on in the land with the protests and the unaliving, right? And I am an African American. We have that African American experience, and I have that African American experience in this society. And so I know, with me as a Black woman, anything is possible, right? When it comes to law enforcement. And I'm not saying law enforcement is bad. I am not saying that at all. But we do know the realities of where we live, right? And so the sirens and what was happening at the time, I had an anxiety attack, two actually. And that one was over. Got ready to get out of the car. More police sirens. I had it again. I had to stay in the car like an hour to get myself together. Now, there was nothing major going on. It was a peaceful protest, but the police were just going to make their presence known to make sure it was peaceful. But it was just the sound of the sirens and my history in America, in the United States of America, and the realities of being Black in America, that racial component, right? So that was a situational event that caused that anxiety to happen. Now, I'm always going to be Black. Right. And as far as I know, I'm always going to live in the United States. So that could happen again. I'm not impervious to that situation happening again. So, and I know that's the experience of many Black folks who I know, and people who I've seen in therapy, the anxiety because of the color of our skin, which we cannot change, right? This is something that we have to live with, right? But learn how to live with better, right? And we can do that. Sandra says Netta is in Bible study. That's where she is. Okay. Thank you, Rosa. How are you, Rosa and Ashley? Some names I can see. Daniel, thank you for joining me. And some names I can't. Pat, I think that is. Thank you for joining me this evening. This is TikTok where I can't see that well. Mick, thank you for joining me this evening, Mick. And TABOU, I think, or and Hearts. Thomas. If I don't say your name, please forgive me because I can't really see it. Shop is the end of this one person's name, the SHOP. Can't read the whole name, it's extremely long. Thank you for joining me this evening. Put your questions, your mental health questions in the chat. If you've ever experienced anxiety, just put the word anxiety in the chat. Let's engage and help one another with what it is that we have to say, right? It's not just about what I have to say as the expert in these areas. It's what you have to say as well. You may have some strategies that you use that have helped you with anxiety or something else. So let's help one another. And if you have the question, other people probably have it as well. They just haven't asked it. So ask the question or make a comment in the chat. So just to reiterate, just talk about some of the things that, anxiety can be caused by. Well, first, anxiety is that excessive worry, right, or fear, right, that affects our daily activities, right, to some level. Now we know there's levels to things, and so in the mental health world, we have the levels are mild, moderate, and severe, right? So there's those three levels. So you may have a mild case of anxiety, you could have a moderate case of anxiety, or a severe case of anxiety. And obviously, the higher you go up in severity, the more symptoms you will have, and the more devastating the symptoms will be to your daily living. So it can affect you socially, affect you in the workplace, on your job, or in school, right, or in your personal relationships. So all of these things you won't function as optimally in those places and in those spaces and in those relationships as you would if you were not experiencing anxiety, depression, whatever it is. Everything has pretty much has that severity level, the mild, moderate, or severe. Excuse me, got a little sore throat, forgive me. And so it's not all the same all the time. Again, so we have to remember that there's levels. All right. And so the greater the level, the more symptomology that's more severe. And obviously, the lesser the level on the milder side, the less severe symptomology around whatever the issue is. But tonight, we're talking about anxiety. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to call you 2020 is at the end of your name. Thank you for joining me. And I think Angie has joined, Rosa has joined. Someone with 706 at the end of their name has joined. That's all on TikTok. Thank you for joining this evening. Put your questions regarding mental health or anything mental health related in the chat, and I will answer it for you if I can. So let's talk about some things that can cause anxiety. And if you have this experience or know someone with this experience, put that particular thing in the chat. So for instance, fear of flying, right? Put flying in the chat. If you have a fear of flying, or someone with a fear of flying. Right now, my particular thing, and not that I'm claiming, because, as a believer, I don't confess the negative, right? I confess my healing and everything, right? And where God sees me. But for the sake of this show and being transparent and to, put myself out there as the first partaker of everything that I say and do on this platform, heights. That's a real issue for me. It is, I feel like I could pass out. I never have, right? And I try to avoid it at all costs, but I get nauseous, a queasy feeling in my stomach, right? I could even watch something on social media, and I feel it. I just feel the queasiness. I just feel myself going like, ugh, right? And because it's so like, and this is anything with heights for me, like how they might have someone flying over the Grand Canyon, or those things. They have these now, they, oh my God, just thinking about it, glass floors where you can see underneath you, right? Like at the Grand Canyon area, places like that. And I mean, the videos are funny because obviously they have people who have trouble with heights up there, and they're like, oh, they're struggling, like, and other people trying to pull them along because the glass you can see beneath you, and it's so high up. And you've seen the videos, it's hilarious. But now it's not hilarious if you're experiencing. If that were me, first of all, it wouldn't be me. I wouldn't go up there. But if that were me, and somebody's trying to drag me across that glass floor, we will not be friends anymore. Whatever type of relationship that I had with you, it would be severed after that, because that's a bridge too far for me. Because with that level of fear, it's panic, and when there's a panic attack, doom is overwhelming, and the thought of death. And this is literal, the literal death. The thought of death is like, I am about to die right now. The heart is beating out of control, like you feel like you may be having a heart attack. This is the level. When we're talking about the severity, this is at the level of panic, right? And so those people who we saw, like you see on social media, on this glass platforms that I'm talking about, panic. They literally feel like they're about to die. The fear is overwhelming. Now we see people walk across those bridges all the time, those platforms all the time. It's a platform. It's sturdy. It's strong. Nobody has, to my knowledge, it's never broken. Nobody's ever died. It's that fear that's not real, but because I have that fear of, say, for in this instance, heights, I'm thinking something that's not true is going to happen. Remember the fear of something happening or something not happening. If I walk across this thing, I'm going to die. I'm going to fall. It's going to break through. Something's going to happen, and I'm going to die. I don't have control. That fear of not having control, right? And unless I say unless my feet are on solid ground, but my feet are always on solid ground with Christ, right? Because he is the rock of my salvation, right? He is the foundation. So he is the solid ground. But when I'm talking about the literal ground, unless I am walking around, just a neighborhood house, just what we do in our normal community, and there's the sure foundation of the bottom, I'm good. But that's not the bottom. Those platforms, just over walking platforms over, these high spaces, that's not the bottom. The bottom is the bottom of that high space. So therefore I feel like I don't have control. Right. And so with that lack of control comes the fear, comes the overwhelming fear, and those other symptoms starting, sweating somewhere, racing thoughts, the doom feeling like we're going to actually literally die. Right. And that panic has set in. And so Sandra puts on the chat, do you have time? Take medicine if you have anxiety? There's many people who take medicine for anxiety. Some medicines are prescribed as needed, right? So for me, if I were to take anxiety medication, now this right here, I'm about to say, will never happen. But I'm just giving you an example. If I were going to go on one of those things I'm just talking about, to the Grand Canyon and walk over one of those things, which would never happen. But if I did, I would take one of those as needed anti-anxiety medications, because I know I'm going there today and I don't want to succumb to the anxiety that it's going to make me feel. Now, again, I would never go regardless of a medication. But so you take an as needed medication if I know this is something that I'm about to do. And Sandra put in the chat bridges for her. So she might take an as needed medication if she were going to go across a bridge. So therefore, she would be calmer in whatever the medication would do for her. Now, all medication is not, and psychotropics, right? And it's not a cure-all, right? So there's things that we need to learn to do behaviorally, mentally and emotionally as well, to make some changes in our, in our way of living, right? Medication can help, right? And take the edge off and make things better, but it's not a cure all. But sometimes medication is absolutely necessary. Like, again, like I said, as needed for, like, if Sandra with the bridge issue, if she had to cross the bridge every day for work, she would probably take an anxiety medication because bridges are an issue for her. Now, she probably wouldn't take a job over the bridge, but I'm just saying, if she did, she was, because that's a daily thing that has to happen. And she would get fired from a job because she wouldn't go. She's like, you know what? I need to take a medication in order so I can get to work and not get fired. Right. So then there's some people who have general anxiety. So the anxiety is not just situational like it is for me. Right. But it's always in the background. It's the theme. It's always there. It's always there. So they take a medication every day for anxiety. So you have to talk to your medical professional, who prescribes you medication, and see what would be best for you if you were going to take an anxiety medication, right? And but yes, it's out there. It's helpful. I have many clients who take anxiety medication, and it works for them, and helps them to do what it is that they would not normally be able to do successfully if they had not taken it. So yeah, there's medication out there, and it's helpful. But you just talk to your medical professional about it, your prescriber. Sandra also says, I meant to take medication. Yes, I knew what you meant. Thank you for clarifying, Sandra. But yes, so that's about medication. Let me see if anybody has anything in the chat on TikTok. Any questions? I don't see any questions. All right. So we're talking about anxiety. Thank you for joining me, Perfect Prince. Thank you for joining me. And I think it says Specious and Brookie and Robin. Thank you for joining me. This is all TikTok folks. Thank you. These are the names that I can actually see. I think there's Tiffany with a heart, and someone's name who ends in AHN. I think that's what it says. Sandra says, I don't take medication for the bridge. I was saying that bridges is the thing that causes anxiety for me. Yes, that's what I said. I said that's what causes you anxiety. And I said, if you were to take a medication, it would be situational for you because of going over a bridge. Or if you worked over a bridge, when you had to go over a bridge to get to work, then you would probably take it every day because you went to work every day. So that's how it works. But if anyone wanted to take medication, you would talk to your prescriber and the specifics. They would ask you questions, and then they would know whether you needed an as needed medication for situations or whether you needed it every day. Good question, Sandra, regarding the medication. Thank you for asking that and sharing about bridges being, your fear. And I shared heights is my fear. What fear do you have that leads to some level of anxiety? So I'm just going to throw out a few. Some people are afraid of spiders, right? Snakes. Spiders and snakes are big, but pretty much could be any animal. Actually, we could have an anxiety over anything. And let me say this now that I said that. Don't be quick to judge others just because it's not your issue, right? People could be, I think this might have been on a show or something before. People could be afraid of stuffed animals. They could be afraid of stuffing that's in pillows. Right. And that might sound silly to some people, but it's a thing for that person. So let's not be quick to judge and laugh at something that's not our own experience, because we wouldn't want that for ourselves. Right. We just pray for that person, pray for that person's healing. Right. They don't want to be afraid of that. But there's something that has happened to them, right, mentally and emotionally, that has caused them that fear. So never laugh or make fun of or judge someone else's situation because you don't have that experience. Think that if it were me, would I want this person to respond like I am right now if I'm laughing or making fun of or making a judgment about this person? Don't do that. Don't do that. And it's not Christ-like. If you are a believer in, this platform, that I have, it's Christ-centered, right? Believers don't do that. We don't make fun of people. But for the grace of God, go I. Before the grace of God, go you. Don't make fun of people. We want to build people up and edify them. Right. And so that judgment, that making fun of, that's not in our repertoire. That's not how we behave as believers. So other things, put other things that that people are afraid of that may lead to some level of anxiety in the chat, whether you experience or not, but that it's an issue. Let's see here. Bing Hair. Hey, Bing Hair, thank you for joining me this evening for Office Hours with Sharon. Put your mental health questions in the chat. So we said insects, bugs, spiders, serpents, snakes, and animals of any kind, right? Bridges, flying, right? Heights for me. Public speaking. Some people have a fear of public speaking. It causes them great anxiety to speak in front of people, right? And we also have closed-in spaces. Some people are claustrophobic. Some people don't like getting in elevators, right? Or any type of tight space. It causes them a level of anxiety, right? So all of these things, we've probably heard of, and some things we haven't. But truth be told, anything, when I say anything, I mean anything, someone can have a fear of. It doesn't have to make rational sense, right? Like I was explaining before, we know the bridge, none of these walks over these high places, I'm calling them walks that have created, have fallen down, broken. People haven't died, not that I know of, and not that it can't happen, right? But with the engineering technology that we have and the knowledge, we build things to be safe, but anything can happen, right? So for the most part, it's safe. So it's our irrational fear of something happening or not happening that creates that level of anxiety that grips us, and then all of the symptoms that happen. So I'm going to just read to you the list, and this is the list we went over last week of some of the things, and I've shared tonight some of the things that can happen. So it's that worry, it's that fear, right, that overcomes us, and we could be restless, feeling like keyed up or on edge, right? And also too easily fatigued. Anxiety can cause that fatigue as well, and sometimes people don't really realize that could be the case, and because they're experiencing anxiety. And again, I'm going to say these symptoms, but now these symptoms can go along with something else. That's why you need to see your own professional so they can decide, okay, these symptoms go across diagnoses, but which diagnosis is it for you? So it doesn't have to be anxiety, because again, this symptomology for anxiety, also there's some of the same symptoms are there for depression, right? So you need to find your own. Hey, Erica, thank you for joining me this evening. Find your own professional to diagnose your specific issue, so you can chart, of course, specifically to try to plan specifically for your need. And so difficulty concentrating. So if you can imagine all this fear is going on, you can't concentrate. You can't focus on a task. The fear has overcome you so much that it's overtaken your mind. Excuse me, because it's coming from your thoughts that you're fearing this or that happening or not happening, right? And that anxiety, that feeling is now controlling you. It's gripping you. That's why you fear dying when that's not even happening. It's not even happening at all. It just feels like that. Feelings and facts are different. It feels like that. That's why when it's all over, it's like, whoa, you're still living, right? I'm still living. It was that fear in the moment, that irrational fear is what's driving us. Irritability can be a part of it, and muscle tension somewhere in the body. We get tense. That's when we're anxious. And again, you don't have to have all these symptoms, right? You have some of them that meet the criteria, right? The more symptoms you have, probably the more severe the anxiety issue is, right? The least amount of symptoms you have, the less severe, as well as along with some other things. And we're talking about, again, situational things, right? As well as events, right? As well as hormones, right? Because I was sharing with you the hormonal issue for me causes anxiety attacks with me sometimes. And then, the rapid heartbeat, right? That's a sign. That's a symptom, the rapid heartbeat. That anxiety, that emotion is so high, the thoughts are racing, that your heartbeat, and that's why you feel like you're having a heart attack. That heart is like pounding, right? The more severe, right? With the panic attack, the heart is out of control. When you have, say, a lower level of anxiety, heart still racing, but not to the panic level, right? Because that's when I fear I'm dying, right? That's where it's doom and gloom. Life is over. As I speak, as I sit here and experience it, that's how you're feeling. Sweating somewhere on your body, that can happen. Tremors or shaking. I tend to shake. My hands tend to shake when I experience an anxiety attack, and that's when I know I'm like, okay, because because this is what I do for a living, and I've experienced it. I'm looking, I'm searching, and I'll just put my hands out. I'm like, okay, something's going on, and I'm feeling other things. I know, okay, so this is what's happening in me. Shortness of breath. That's also happening. That's why deep breathing is so good when you're experiencing anxiety, right? Or high emotions, because it helps to calm you down. It's not a cure-all, but it helps to calm you down and puts more oxygen to the lungs, right? And to your brain. And it helps to calm the emotion, calm the heart rate, lower the heart rate, because the heart begins to race and is beating much more rapidly than it would be normally, right? Um, Chest pain, again, the tightness in the chest. That's again one of the reasons why it feels like you may be having a heart attack. And it's just simply anxiety. Nausea or stomach upset. Remember, I told you with the heights with me, stomach, queasiness. Even if I just watch something like I was sharing with you earlier, watching these things on social media, I just like, oh, I just start to get like ill just watching it, right? And headaches can happen as well with anxiety. And again, you don't have to have all these symptoms. I'm just sharing with you what some of the symptoms are so you can be aware and remember empowered so you can know what it is that you may possibly experience or someone else that you're involved with. When you see these symptoms, they could be experiencing anxiety and you know how to help them. Difficulty sleeping. A lot of times people who have anxiety have trouble sleeping, trouble falling asleep, trouble staying asleep, and trouble waking in the morning, right? So some sort of sleep disturbance, restlessness, difficulty making decisions, because if you have difficulty concentrating and focusing, which anxiety causes, then you have difficulty probably making decisions as well because you're not focused, right? And so if you're having those racing thoughts, a decision, you want to make a sound decision, you need to focus, right? You need to think, and you're not focusing and thinking. With the anxiety is a part of what's going on in that moment. So your decision making, don't make any decisions when you're experiencing anxiety. Not really any important decisions anyway. And like I said earlier, feeling like, let's see, something bad is going to happen, especially, again, when we get to the more extreme death. We avoid situations that trigger the anxiety, right? Sandra talked about the bridge. Well, she avoids bridges. Understandably so. I avoid heights. Why would I do that? If I know this is what's going to happen to me, I don't want to put myself in that situation, right? So we avoid those things that trigger that anxiety in us. So if you notice that you're avoiding things, and then you put these other things together, maybe there's something about that I'm fearing that causes this level of anxiety. Procrastination can be a part of anxiety as well. I'm putting it off because I don't like how it makes me feel. I don't like what it does in my thoughts, right? And again, difficulty performing daily tasks, as I said, because this is what's going on. I can't attend to the daily tasks because the anxiety has become too overwhelming, right? And substance abuse, an abuse of anything, right, can be alcohol, substances, shopping, people, food. All these things that we may abuse can be a symptom of the anxiety. I'm eating it away. I'm drinking it away. I'm snorting it away. Whatever it is that we're doing, right? We're trying to avoid. We're trying to self-soothe because I don't want to have that feeling. So I'm reaching for unhealthy things. Now, there's healthy things that we can do. So let's talk about some of those healthy things as we wind down. Netta says, hey, Sharon. Hey, Netta. Let's see. Anybody else in the chat? Sweet. Tina. Hey, sweet Tina. Thank you for joining me tonight. If you have any questions regarding mental health, anything, even though I'm talking about anxiety, if you have any questions at all, please put them in the chat and I will answer them for you. And if I haven't called out your name, it's because your name is too light and I can't see it. And that's specifically on TikTok. And so I apologize for that, but I appreciate you watching. I just can't see it with these older eyes. And you know how TikTok is. It's got those tiny words and it's on my phone. So let's talk about some strategies to use for anxiety. Deep breathing, as I said earlier, is one of the best things you can do. And I would say to practice deep breathing even just throughout the day when you're not even experiencing anxiety or anything. Just make it a good practice, because again, it does so many things. It helps our organs, things that we can't even see. Deep breathing helps our organs. It helps to bring more oxygen to the brain and to the lungs, right? And it lowers our heart rate, right? So it's an overall great strategy for everything. And of course, when we're in the moment of something, it helps calm us down. When we're angry, when we're in the moment of that situation with that coworker, that child, that friend, that parent, that spouse, whatever, just take a moment and do some deep breathing. We're typically shallow breathing all day long. That deep breathing comes to do something better for us in the moment. And now we can be more rational, right? Because the irrationality of the emotions and the heightened energy has taken over. So now I'm not as apt to be able to hear the rationality of what this person is trying to say to me, or what I even want to do in myself, because the emotions have taken over. Let me do some deep breathing, help myself calm down, get my mind in a more rational state, where now I can be calmer and make a more rational decision rather than an emotional decision. Very different. All right. So deep breathing is a great strategy. Practice it throughout the day and just let it become a part of your life. So when you do say need it, when you're, experiencing anxiety or some level of fear or whatever the case may be, or a heated situation, it's a go-to automatic. You don't have to think, oh, what can I do? What can I do? Just start deep breathing, because you've been practicing it already as a part of your life. Grounding. There's grounding techniques that you can do, and especially like if you're having a panic attack. So let me just go through this, really quickly. This is like the down and dirty version, right? Just so you can know. But just go to YouTube and put in grounding techniques for anxiety. So just say if you happen to be in your car, pull over. You can have an anxiety attack or panic attack. You don't want to be driving, but it can happen anywhere. It's happened to me. Pull over, right? And so what you want to do is you want to take time to do some deep breathing. And then you want to ground yourself, is why it's called grounding. Ground yourself in the reality of the moment, because this is letting your brain know that this is nothing but anxiety. What I'm fearing, that's not actually happening, because the reality is what it is that I'm saying out of my mouth right now, because I'm trying to put reality and rationality to this irrational emotion that is driving me, that makes me feel like I'm out of control. Right. And so what you do is you're going to say what's in your surrounding world right there in that moment, as well as saying some other things. So I'm going to say, my name is Sharon Thomas. That's letting me know rationally, I know who I am. I'm grounding myself in reality. And say, if you're in the car, I'm touching my steering wheel, right? And this may sound funny, but we want to ground ourselves in reality. And this lets us know, because when you feel out of control, it's like my reality isn't there. But you have to tell yourself, no, the reality is here. I'm just experiencing anxiety. I'm touching my steering wheel. I am in my car. I see McDonald's over there. I see a school over there. The president of the United States is Donald Trump. You want to ground, my birthday is whatever your birthday is. Say these things out loud so you can hear yourself. That's right. That's right. I know what's going on. I know who I am. I know where I am. That's right. I'm just experiencing anxiety. So you're grounding yourself in the reality of the moment and in time. Hey, Makisha, thank you for joining me this evening. You're grounding yourself in the reality of time and in the moment. Time that we're living in. You said who the president is. You said maybe what's going on around you and things of that nature, and where you are and who you are. You just said these things out loud. Okay. So you do have some control. You know what's going on. It's just the anxiety is taking over, right? And so as you do that, then you start to feel more in control. And this is anxiety. I'm just waiting for time to let me to feel better in this moment. Doing deep breathing to also help. And if you have any other things that you may have, these calming and relaxation and anti-anxiety apps that we have now, right? Or something else of that nature. You have soothing music that that helps you to relax. Or those of us who are believers quote scriptures, read scriptures. I text scriptures to myself, so whenever I want to pull it up on my text messages, I read those scriptures that have to do with the issue that I'm dealing with. So I have anxiety scriptures at the ready, but I don't really need them now because I have them memorized, the ones that I know that I want to say. And so I'll quote those scriptures in my mind, because now I'm putting God on it, and anything we put God on has to change. All right. So we're doing those things. That self-talk. Sharon, you can get through this. This is just a moment in time. You're just feeling anxious. You are in control. And ultimately, God is in control. It's just anxiety. Doing that self-talk, grounding yourself in the reality of that moment until that anxiety passes. Sandra says, when I am riding over a bridge, I think, fully mindful of all the things that's going on in my body, and I speak to those things. For example, I will say, stomach, calm down. Exactly. She's speaking what she wants to happen out loud and in her mind, and she's speaking it out loud, letting her know she's in control. This is just irrational fear. I'm in control. I can do this. Stomach, calm down. You will not give into the anxiety of the moment. Right now, her stomach might still be doing that, but she's saying it out loud to help her. Right? Because by saying it, it's helping her until she's over that bridge. Right? And so this is what will help you. These are some things we can do. Ground yourself in the reality. Speak what you want to happen. Don't speak the problem, right? Speak the solution. All right. And that's self-talk, right? We just talked about that in your head and out loud, self-talk. And again, any calming relaxation exercises that you discovered on YouTube and these apps and different things like that, those are great. And you want to even practice them when you're not feeling anxious, so they become a part of you, right? And so now it's like I don't even have to watch the video because I've learned how to do it myself. Now, some things it's a visual experience. I'm not talking about that. But some things it's just like, just say if you didn't know how to deep breathe. And so you put on a video and learned it. Well, now that I've learned it, because I've done it a few times, I don't need the video. I can just do it. Right. So learn some of these strategies on your own time when you're not experiencing anxiety. Right. So when the anxiety does come, I know what to do because I've watched it so many times on YouTube or on the app or whatever. I have one of these stress balls and I carry them with me. I have a couple of them. This is one of the athletic ones. The young people who I see, they like to use the squishies, right? They come in gel, they have sand and, they're animals and different cute ones. But I have this athletic one. It has a string on it so I can carry it around so I won't, well, where is it? It's right on my wrist. And so when I'm experiencing anxiety or some stress, I just squeeze it. It's real tight. Right. And it helps me to get out some of that stress, that anxiousness in the moment. Carry one of these with you in your bag, ladies. Gentlemen, carry with you. I don't know what men, I don't even know how men survive without carrying something with something in it. It boggles my mind. But carry one of these around. Or a worry stone. Worry stones are real small. Worry stones are pretty much the size of that first line on your thumb up to the top. That's how big it is. Because it's got a groove of a thumbprint in it already there. So you can just have it in your pocket. And what you do is you just rub it. Right. And I know a lot of people who have anxiety, they use worry stones. And so, worry is in the title of what it is, what it's called. Right. And you can have it in your pocket anywhere. It's very tiny. They're cute. You can even get them personalized and have different things on them. They come in bulk. You can buy individual. Amazon has them everywhere. They have them. And you just rub it. Right. And it sounds like you're rubbing out your worry, just like with the stress ball. Right. You're squeezing out the stress. You're squeezing out the worry. You're squeezing out the anxiety. Well, the worry stone is the same thing. And the worry stone, you can't even see it. Like I said, it's so tiny, you can keep it in your pocket. So someone with public speaking fears, anxiety, right? So they can have it in their pocket or have it right there on the podium, right? And no one even sees it, right? And they're rubbing it because it's helping them with the anxiety in the moment while they're giving that speech, right? Or whatever it is that they're doing. So, and prayer, of course, prayer, praise, worship, all of that. All of those things that we do spiritual as believers, those things can help us with anxiety in the moment, anytime throughout the day, as a preventive measure. All things God help us with every issue, preventative as well as when it's happening. Right. And so remember these things. Again, these things are for you to be empowered. Right. So you can use them as you see fit, as situations arise, and so this is the empowerment. The information itself isn't the empowerment, is you using the information. And it might not be you. Your child might be experiencing now, now you can walk them through a deep breathing technique. My child is feeling anxious. Come, hold my hand. Let's do some deep breathing. Just do what I do, right? And you can walk them through a deep breathing session, if you will, or a friend, a coworker, whatever. You're armed with information. Now you can help yourself and you can help others. Right? Sandra says exactly with what we're talking about regarding what she does and the self-talk, etc. When she has to go over a bridge, right? Talking yourself through the moment. And then the moment has passed. It's not there forever. It's moments in time. It seems like it's forever. Oh my gosh. But it really isn't. And then you talk to yourself through that moment. You grounded yourself in the moment of reality, right? Of the reality of the moment rather the irrationality of the feeling. And now it's over and you've successfully gotten to the other side of the situation. So those are some things that I wanted to share with you this evening to help empower you in your life. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you, if you ever have the situation, hopefully you won't experience anxiety. But if you do, now you're armed with information to help yourself, as like I said, as well as others. And all is well. All is well. So again, thank you for joining me tonight. I will be back on next Thursday. Don't know what the topic is, but again, the topic is always you asking me whatever mental health questions that you want to ask. So if you have questions after the live is over, you can email me at Full Life Communications. That's the platform you're watching me on. fulllifecommunications@gmail.com. Send me your questions regarding anything mental health there, and put office hours in the subject bar, because I have several shows that are on, so I want to know which, make sure I have answer your question on the right show. So put office hours in the subject bar and then ask whatever question that you have, and I will answer it on the next live after I receive that question. Also, to join me Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Yes, 8 a.m. for Good Morning God. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Good Morning God, where we go before God in prayer on behalf of his creation and his people and his children. Right? We make our prayer requests known to the Lord. Also, the Lord downloads to me what it is he wants me to pray for, and confess and decree and declare on any given day. Also, too, if you have prayer requests during the live, right, you put your prayer requests in the chat, and I will lift that prayer before the Lord. Or when we're not on the air, if you have a prayer request, use the same email address, fulllifecommunications@gmail.com, and put prayer in the subject bar, and then share rather what your prayer request is. And on that next live, I will lift that prayer before the Lord. Monday evenings at 8 p.m. is Race Matters, where we talk about all things that pertain to race, because race does matter. And we talk about matters of race. Right. And so this week we're talking about DEI, this coming Monday at 8 p.m. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the beginnings of it, where we are now. And we're going to give a list, probably won't be an exhaustive list, but we're going to give out a list of those people who had DEI and then discontinued their DEI programs once this new administration came in, and the ones who did not, and they are still maintaining their DEI programs because they know it works and because they have a heart for the people. And so we're going to share a list of organizations, businesses, etc., that have or do not have in those categories, because we need to know, because we want to support those who support our vision and what it is that we believe in, right? Just what happens like with Target and other big countries, not countries, excuse me, companies, right? And so we need to know who these folks are, right? So we can support or not support as we so choose. Right, so we're going to provide a list of those things for you as well on Race Matters this coming Monday. And on Wednesday evenings, every Wednesday, Faith Walk, Sandra and I, we host that show. I have two co-hosts for Race Matters. Sandra hosts Faith Walk with me, which is every Wednesday, Faith Walk every Wednesday at 8 p.m., where we share what the Lord has us to share regarding how to walk out this faith walk in Jesus with you all and with ourselves. The faith walk is not an easy walk, but it's the best walk. And so we need to do it together, because there's safety in numbers. And as we gather as a community, we glean from one another, right? We learn from one another. What you have to say might help me. What I have to say may help you on this faith walk. And then God gives us strategies. He gives us information, right? And so we walk out our faith walk together on the social media platform on Wednesday nights. So Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. for Good Morning God. Monday evenings, Race Matters every other week. Wednesday evenings, every Wednesday, Faith Walk. Thursday evenings, like tonight, every Thursday, Office Hours with Sharon. Those are the shows I have on thus far. There's more to come. I will let you know when that happens. But so you don't have to try to remember, not that you would anyway. Just click the notification bell on the platform you're watching, and click the button. Click the thing that says all. So whenever I upload or go live, you'll know. So just click the notification bell. You can do that right now. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything but a little finger energy click the notification bell, click all, and then you'll know when I'm on. Also, too, please like, share, and subscribe. You know how we do in social media land. So this information can get out to other folks because we want to build community, but it will only happen if you like, share, and subscribe, because then the algorithm says, oh, people must like this because they're liking it, they're sharing it, they're subscribing to the channel or following the page, whatever it is. So do that for me, please, so we can grow our community here and we can walk this journey out together. So thank you so much for that. Let's see. Netta says, I talk to myself and say, God's got this. Absolutely. That's self-talk. I can't live without it. And if I'm alone, I say it out loud. Ain't no shame in my game. But now, obviously, if I'm amongst other people, I'm doing it internally. But I talk out loud to myself every day. Every day. Because when I'm in my own space, upstairs where my office and bedroom are, I'm saying stuff out loud. God help me. Sharon, don't say that. Don't do that. All the time. Talking to myself. Right? So I know people have said, talk to yourself, you're crazy, only if you answer. Now, that's another show. All right. Thank you for joining me this evening. I love you guys. I love you. I love you. Love you. Hopefully you gleaned some wonderful information today that you can use for yourselves as well as for others. And hopefully I will see you tomorrow morning, which will be Friday, for the final day of prayer this week. On Good Morning God at 8 a.m. Somebody with the last numbers of 8792 just recently joined us. Thank you for joining me this evening. And so God bless you all. Have a great God evening. And prayerfully, I will see you tomorrow on Good Morning God and all the other days and all the other shows. Thank you so much. And have a God evening. Be well. Shalom.